I'm Chris Whitley-Cooper and I'm Chair of Gathering Voices Steering Group. Gathering Voices represents a collaborative of Christian organisations that encourage churches to be fully inclusive and affirming of all regardless of gender or sexuality. As part of our work, we offer an annual conference and we share our stories and explore and encourage the church to be fully inclusive. I'm introducing today 3 videos which explore the idea of sanctuary and safe space. They offer very different perspectives. One from Open Table, where they explore what it means for all to be welcome. Second one is from Julian Hollywell, who explores what sanctuary means from a biblical perspective. And Diverse Church, which shares the voices and stories of young people that found community within Diverse Church. I hope you enjoy them, and I'll see you afterwards.
Come as you are, that's how I want you. Come as you are, feel quite at home. Close to my heart, loved and forgiven. Come as you are, why stand alone?
Began in 2008, meeting once a month for a communion service, and someone at that meeting said, "Will it be open table?" And when she explained that it means that all are welcome, all can come as they are, then I just felt overjoyed. My heart leapt within me and I thought, yes, absolutely, it should be open table. The open table is a safe, sacred space for people who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer or questioning, intersex and asexual.
This church has a wonderful feeling of friendship and love.
It's charged in such a beautiful way.
It feels like a little taste of God's kingdom, a little tiny bit of what the world should be like.
So we felt there was a need for open table because too many people we knew and too many stories we'd heard of people who felt excluded from the church community or felt unheard or unable to express themselves or to give their talents.
I feel like it's home, like I feel accepted here, I feel welcome here, I feel a part of the community here.
The expression that comes to mind for me is that all may be one. And we are very much one.
It's a place of belonging, it's a place of safety, of sanctuary, and it's growing, it's huge.
Faith communities can be welcoming, accepting, affirming and empowering. And it's clear that there's a hunger for that. If there weren't, we wouldn't be getting so many inquiries from other places.
The door is open, the table is open. You know, anyone and everyone can come here, sit down and eat.
I couldn't be anywhere else. You know, I love everybody dearly. It has a very special place in my heart.
I think it's so important that communities like Open Table exist and that people have access to them.
It gives other people hope, even if it's not something they yet find on their doorstep, to know that it's possible and that it exists elsewhere. Seems to be a sign of hope that change is possible.
No need to fear, love sets no limits. No need to fear, love never ends. Don't run away, shamed and disheartened. Rest in my love, trust me again. love you the less. Come as you are, that's how I love you. Come as you are, trust me again. Nothing can change the love that I bear you. All will be well, just come as you are.
Hello, my name's Julian Hollywell, and I've been asked to contribute a few words for the Gathering Voices conference on what the word sanctuary might mean from a biblical perspective. I'm a parish priest in the Diocese of Derby of 4 parishes that are part of the Inclusive Church Network, and I'm also a trustee of Open Table. I'm no great theologian and no biblical scholar, so these are very much my own thoughts, but I hope they might inspire you to consider some of the things we're talking about. Different concepts of sanctuary are at the very heart of our faith and imaginative life as Christians and have their root in our earliest scriptural heritage. But I'd suggest the idea of sanctuary is not without its problems. Rather like the word love, it has different and nuanced meanings. And like the word love, all too often, the institutional life of the church and the people who identify as Christian fail to live up to the ideals of the word itself. Both in time and space, Scripture places the word closely with the experience of God coming near, the Holy of Holies, constructed around the physical presence of God's holy word, and our duty as God's people to embody that in bringing freedom to the captive and release to the most oppressed in our society, whether that be in economic terms or those who are most excluded. So for me, there is something about sanctuary only being possible if we work for a just and equitable society. And here is my first problem. Whose society? Who holds the power? In popular missional language of our present day, who's the host and who's the guest when we think about sanctuary? It often requires some to hold power and others not to. And too quickly we get into ideas of purity. That might seem archaic and far distant from our lives, but there are those who attach the same principles and judgments of worth to gender identity, and the Church of England's institutional wrestling with gay marriage, I would suggest, is an example of the same attempt to restrict how our society and church may legitimately control God's grace. The unconditionality of this holy encounter is found in the Psalms. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is my defence of my life. Whom shall I dread? Israel itself being identified as the sanctuary of God. And here's my second problem. Who is therefore excluded? Our tradition, perhaps, with the wisdom of hindsight, reads into the prophecy of Isaiah that one will come among us who will be the living embodiment of sanctuary. In Jesus' own words, speaking of himself as the temple. Peter's letters call us into living this out, taking seriously our vocation to be the sanctuary of God, living stones, and being built up as a spiritual house for a holy priesthood. And Paul, seeing the whole people of God together as the living embodiment in the world. But we've pretty consistently failed as a church to live that out. Paul's letters in particular, I gently suggest, have consistently been used to weaponize this idea of sanctuary by making it conditional. The emphasis of the power held by those who feel they offer sanctuary to those who need it is, for me, something that causes me deep concern about my own actions and my own life. I think there is a useful parallel here with how our society is responding to population movements and the millions of people now seeking literal sanctuary in our society. It strikes me, we who hold power in the church view ourselves as static. Indeed, being unchanging or traditional is so powerful a force in the Church of England, it is now a theological position protected by our canon law. And yet I'd suggest our heritage more often than not calls us to movement, calls us to respond to those who have no choice but to be on the move, and those who in so doing are on the fringes of our societal structures that we create in our own image. In the United States, this sanctuary movement is clearly part of a wider liberation theology movement. The LGBTQIA+ social movement is unorganised, informal and fluid, while still maintaining a common identity and solidarity. This flexibility should allow queerness to extend transitionally, and perhaps that is our gift to the churches, allowing all to flourish. Liberating theologies share a common goal, a commitment to end oppression, and that surely is at the very heart of what God's sanctuary is all about.
When I was younger, I was scared a lot, not that I cared a lot, not that it mattered, really. I told myself I was silly, I was lucky to have the life I did, forget all the strife I hid. So hid I did in the smallest of spaces where angry faces couldn't reach me or teach me a lesson. I guess I'd discovered less about safety and more about not being found. The sound of peace is not silence. Under the stairs, a desk, a bed, inside a closet or a locker with my head and knees sticking out. Nobody sees how you're trying to disappear if they're not really looking. And just like that, squashed wasn't right, it wasn't enough to wear down the rough or wear out the tough or the absence of love. No reason or rhyme, I started to climb. I perched on a roof or a ledge, daring life to let me live or fall or fly. But far from flying, I fell into feelings that my brain couldn't decipher, my eyes wouldn't cry over, my heart longing to be still. I will never understand how the flicker of faith that felt futile, forgotten, forged from something broken, soldiered on. The sound of silence is not peace, but oh my goodness, it could be. Holy and blessed are more than rules and handshakes, hurt and hate, and church is more than a room, God is more than I know, yet sometimes I'm slow to find him loving and not irate. Refuge and shelter are more than places and spaces, their faces and names, and are you all right, and you are all welcome. Rest and safety are more than feeling and kneeling to pray, they say you're valued and cherished and loved. You are more than enough. Your safety is key, your right to be, to exist without erasure and be seen. There are people in my life who have taken more than I had to give, who have hated and hurt me for wanting to live. There are those who have lied or cheated or died. Friendly lies have cut me to shreds. The sound of silence is not peace. For in your silence I don't know what to hear. Your community for all seems sincere enough. I bought into it before and all, but now you see me, know me. You judge me and limit it. All are welcome, but come when you're well, and then put on a face. A facade is hard to maintain if it's covered in shame. If I cannot come as I am, broken, scared, proud, and gay. There are places I've been that have offered relief only to see the door slam shut. But there are those in my life who have stretched out a hand, who have heard me, dreamt with me, and planned a better way. There are those who stayed when they didn't know what to say, stood firm in our faith and questioned and doubted, but I never did doubt if I was fully seen and accepted as I came to DC. Don't get me wrong, it's not all about me, my story. It isn't unique. We're all looking, longing, living in search of a place full of breathing a sigh as we walk through the door, walk to the more that a loving embrace has to offer. We want to walk through the door to a friendly face that offers comfort and warmth, the gift of rest and renewal, to walk in a strength not quite ours, not quite lost, to be at peace, at home, not alone, to be where we are, who we are, wherever we've been. We find it here, the you and the I. Don't stop looking for your tribe. It's in a sofa by the open fire, reading, singing, dancing inside. It's in a forest path, breath taken by activity and awe at the world outside. It's in being away from the outside cold and the rain and the wind. No need to hide, away from feeling unsafe. It's in a laptop in the company of others who know your journey, or one just like it. Connect later on time, you're always welcome. You're always welcome. See, places come and spaces go as we roam about this planet we call home, but listen to me carefully, let's share fully, because folks, we are sanctuary.
Hi, my name's Ruth and I would like to tell you a little bit of my story. I'm Christian and a couple of years ago I realised for the first time that I was bisexual. Now this put me in a little bit of a tricky situation because at that time I had been part of a church nomination for a few years where they believed that same-sex couples shouldn't be dating and definitely shouldn't be getting married. And if you were dating someone of the same sex, then you shouldn't be a church member and you definitely shouldn't be in a position of leadership. Unfortunately, I was. So I was heading up the youth work across the UK on a voluntary basis, and I was also a paid youth worker in a local church. On top of that, I was working for a Christian charity who held the same kind of beliefs. So this put me in a time of kind of praying and figuring out what my next steps were when I next became single. And I realised that for me, I was happy to date people of the same sex. Unfortunately, this meant I was going into a time of transition. And in that time, I kind of started seeking out a community of people who might understand what I was going through. And then I found a group called Diverse Church, where young adults who are Christian and LGBTQ+ could kind of talk about that transition and that time when they were coming out, or just kind of figuring out life, intersecting those two different identities of Christian and LGBTQ+. Now that place for me has really become a place of sanctuary over the last few years as I have left that church, left that job, left the other job and started dating someone who's the same gender as me. There was a real community of people where I could discuss things I was going through. I could discuss the struggles, I could discuss the problems and the complications of coming out to people, and really embracing my identity and who God made me to be. I'm really thankful for that group today.
A sanctuary is a place you are safe. It is also a room in a church. I wanted to belong, be protected, sheltered, free from pain. I went looking for sanctuary in a church. Instead, I found judgment and shame. Then I stumbled upon a community where Jesus was everywhere I looked. The only place I have found that says come as you are and means it. The phrase safe space has been used so much it has become a cliché. But I have glimpsed heaven in Diverse Church, a brave space where I can be safe.
We explore sanctuary and safe space in our conference. And our online conference is on the 23rd of October and starts at 2 p.m. If you'd like to learn more about safe space and sanctuary, please register for the conference. Don't worry if you can't join us. We will be putting the keynote talks on the website, but we hope to see you at the conference. Thank you.